Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty jingles. It's another epic win video for you. This is Melchizedor in what at the time was known as the T-49, American Tier 5 tank destroyer. Now of course, it's called the T-67 because the T-49 is the new American Tier 8 light tank. This match is an example of matchmaking failure at its finest. Technically it's a Tier 6 match on steps. I say technically because there were only two Tier 6 tanks on Melchizedor's team, a T-34-85 and a Hummel. But there are 4 Tier 6 tanks on the enemy team. They've got a Cromwell, a Dickermax, a Hummel and an M44. What the hell? Well, surely the enemy team are going to have more Tier 4 tanks in order to compensate for Melchizedor's team only having half the number of Tier 6s of the enemy team. Nope. The enemy team only have 2 Tier 4s, everything else is Tier 5. Melchizedor's team has 3 Tier 4s. So unsurprisingly, XVM is rating his team's chances of winning this one at 35%. But, well, you know, let's not get too hung up on who's driving what tier of tank, because as is all too often the case in World of Tanks, it's not so much what tank you're driving as the person who's driving it. The enemy Cromwell, for example, well, get a load of this. There he goes. Straight up the middle of the map, using the Cromwell's magnificent speed to throw himself right into almost every tank on Melchizedor's team before the match is even a minute old, and he's dead. Oh dear, too bad. Mid-tier games in World of Tanks, where people who would be more at home in a LOL tractor end up driving your team's top tier tanks. Oh well. Well, anyway, it's encounter mode here on steps, and this is a very, very fast machine. And Melchizedor, because their scout tank didn't appear to be interested, has driven up to this spot overlooking the flag, where he should, with his binos and his camo net, be able to spot any enemy tanks heading into the flag zone, but there don't appear to be any of them. So, you know, great. Fantastic spotting position, nobody can see him here, and with his binocular telescope up, he should be able to spot any enemy tanks pushing from their deployment zone over to where the flag is, but there aren't any. Great. And Melchizedor's team is capping. Where the hell are the enemy? They definitely don't appear to be pushing across in, you know, any kind of numbers whatsoever. There's our first customer. Now, he didn't see anybody moving across, and somebody else spotted that guy as he came around the corner of the low hills at the bottom of that north-south road. And he's almost done already. Artillery zoning in on him. Melchizedor, oh, misses. Come on. Very, very quick reload on this thing. He gets the kill. And there's another one. And another one. And this thing has absolutely no armour whatsoever. It's a very, very fast little machine with a slow-turning turret, but terrible, terrible armour. You don't really want to be the one up front when you're fighting in this little tank destroyer. But the enemy team have finally realised that they're going to lose if they don't, you know, attempt to play the objective and get into the flag. And as is usually the case, most of Melchizedor's team are just sitting in the cap circle, where there is no cover whatsoever. And nobody is going up, other than Melchizedor and a 3001H driver, to hold the enemy team off and prevent them from getting shots at the tanks in the cap. So, you know, low armour or not, somebody's going to have to get up here. There's his third kill. Making great use of the terrain, takes a shot in the flank, blows his tracks off, exposed, taking flanking shots, has to get those tracks repaired, get up around there. And he actually bounces a shot from the Crusader, which is just unbelievable, and finishes him off. And they've almost capped. This game is almost over. Oh, here comes the Sherman. Oh, and he misses. Another kill. Enemy team have finally realised that they're going to lose any second now if they don't get in there and reset the cap. And the entire enemy team is just rushing for the cap circle. There's the Dickermax. Melchizedor gets a flanking shot on him, but he pushes forward. They've reset the cap. Melchizedor's team are still trying to win by capping, but that's just never going to happen at this stage. They've been reset now. The enemy team are swarming all over them. There is no concealment in the cap circle. other than, you know, any dead tanks that are in there, and there are plenty of dead tanks in there. Of course, nobody's actually using any of those dead tanks for cover. No, 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 no. That would require being able to think and breathe at the same time. No, they're all just going to sit in the middle of the cap circle, exchanging health with whatever is shooting at them. Melchizedor, the only one who has the sense to go around and try to flank the guy. Of course, nobody else is going to do that, because that would mean leaving the cap circle and giving up some of their precious loser points. His team are still trying to win by capping, because, you know, they've clearly run out of ideas. So while they're sitting in the cap circle waving a big "here we are, come and kill us" flag, Melchizedor goes to set up and take advantage of anybody trying to flank around. Hidden in the bushes, camera net and binoculars up again, and just waiting and waiting, and there it is, T40 gets one shot. Oh, misses with his second and finishes him off. T40 will have had no idea where those shots were coming from. Multiple lines of concealment between him and the T40. He is now, of course, the last one left alive on his team, because sitting in the cap circle when you're outnumbered 2-1 is a terrible idea. But mid-tier games, can't expect Field Marshal Erwin Rommel to be playing. So, last one left alive on his team. He's just killed the T40, so they're going to have some idea of where he is. And he doesn't want to be there when they come looking. You know, if they come looking. Don't forget, mid-tier game, Erwin Rommel ain't on the enemy team either. And they're starting to cap. So they're not coming looking for him. Or at least, well, he knows some of them aren't coming looking for him. And he's in a T49, they're never going to catch him anyway. This thing is incredibly quick. So he's taking the long way around, and oh, enemy artillery, sitting there in his top-down view, blissfully unaware of what's going on around him, realises, too late, and now he's dead. Kill number 7. Okay, so circling around, good, he ran into enemy artillery and killed it. Bad, enemy artillery spotted him. Enemy team now know he's coming, but they're still sitting in the cap circle, because, you know, mid-tier game. What can you expect? So they have a rough idea of the direction from which he is moving. There are 2 of them in the cap circle. We're probably looking at the Churchill 3 and the AT2, and those are 2 very, very tough machines. And then it almost goes horribly, horribly wrong. There's the Churchill. Oh shit. It's the curse of the light tank driver. It works when you're driving this thing as well. Suspension falls off at the slightest provocation. Luckily, he managed to fly far enough forward that he got that rock between him and the Churchill 3. And there's the Churchill 3, one of the most heavily armoured tanks in the game, tier for tier. Providing you keep the front towards the enemy. He saw him coming. The Churchill, he practically wrote a letter to the Churchill telling him which direction he was coming from, and he still sat there sideways on to this 76mm gun. More enemies like that, please. Anyway, he's reset the Churchill 3, but now he's got a number of problems. He needs to reset the AT2, and penetrating the armour of an AT2 is an entirely different proposition from shooting at the side of a Mark III Churchill. He doesn't have a lot of health left, he has absolutely no armour. He's only really going to get the opportunity to safely take one shot when he pops up again to reset this AT2, because they're both going to turn around and start shooting at him, and artillery is waiting for him as well. Doesn't know where the enemy artillery is. There's the AT2, first shot bounces, aims for the tracks, he's done it, he's reset. He takes an opportunity shot at the Churchill 3 and then gets the hell out of there. Risky as all hell. Is it going to be worth it? Is artillery about to get him? It looks like he's gotten away with it. Oh, there it is. Nice try, Artie, but not today. So, immediate problem dealt with. Cap has been reset. Now, get a load of this. He spots the Churchill again. Churchill has a 350 metre view range. He's only 250 metres away, but he cannot see Melchizedor's machine, thanks to multiple lines of concealment between the 2 of them. He then pops off Melchizedor's radar. He keeps firing, doesn't see the shot hit the ground, so he knows that one hit. He knows that one missed. Churchill's still there. Moves up, closer to the bush. Churchill is now likely to see him if he fires, so he pulls back from the bush. Continues to spot him. Churchill has no idea he's there. Finally realises he has to move forward and get out of his line of sight. That's when he spots the Hummel. Again, he doesn't just turn around and shoot him. He puts some concealment between himself and the Hummel, so that the Hummel doesn't see him when he starts firing. Another easy kill. 8 kills. There's a potential Pools medal on the table here, but he only has 8 shots left with which to do it. And, you know, while I'm 100% positive that those 2 enemy tanks are sitting in the cap circle, not because they think it's a good idea, but because they just don't have any other ideas, it is actually the best place for them to be. Melchizedor's in a much, much faster machine. They can't afford to go off chasing after him. He cannot circle around behind them because of the hill at the back of the cap circle, so they pretty much know from which direction, roughly, he's going to be popping up. Also, whole load of dead tanks in the cap circle that they can be using for cover. Assuming, you know, they have 2 brain cells to rub together. Do you think the Churchill's going to be using anything as cover? No, of course not. The AT2, on the other hand, did at least have the sense to move as far forward in the cap circle as he could to keep him out of Melchizedor's line of fire. But the downside of that was that he couldn't support the Churchill 3 because he also didn't have a line of fire on Melchizedor. The AT2 can still win this if he backs off and keeps his front pointing towards Melchizedor's T49, so of course that's the complete opposite of what he does, and he leaves the cap circle and moves forward, making it even easier for Melchizedor to get around behind him. But Melchizedor's very low on ammunition. 2 shots left. 1 shot left. Pools medal. Faden's medal. Game over. Faden's medal, one of the more rare of the epic medals available in World of Tanks, which you can only get if you kill the last tank on the enemy team with the last round of ammunition available to your tank. I only have 1 of those, and I got it in artillery. Sorry. But yeah, hell of a game. Hell of a game. Ace Tanker, obviously. Top Gun, also obviously. Pools medal, Faden's medal, High Caliber, and Defender. Melchizedor in the artist formerly known as the T49, now known as the T67, American Tier 5 turreted tank destroyer in World of Tanks. Hope you enjoyed the replay. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.